We think it's an emergency on the border, and obviously want to know why the law isn't being enforced. The administration doesn't have the authority just to ignore and neglect the law. Congress passed law, provided funding for a border wall. The administration, revoked the emergency declaration that was in place during the Trump administration, and now we've got essentially open borders. So they've relaxed enforcement, they've paused deportations, they've halted border wall construction, and they've increased admissions, and that's a recipe for just a lot of problems at the border, and it's become a real emergency. I think it's a major crisis today, and it will only get worse over time. Typically what happens is we head into these warmer months of the year until it gets really hot, and this is the time when most people try to come across. And I think the thing you have to be concerned about is when you have a porous open border, there are opportunities for people to exploit it, whether that might be drug traffickers, human traffickers, who knows, terrorist influences. There are just all kinds of bad things that can happen when you have a porous open border. And we've seen evidence of that in the past. And I think it's something that the administration has got to crack down on. I don't know if they have the wherewithal to do it because they're worried about their political base and the pushback that they might get. But open borders is a really, really bad solution for this country, and it could lead to all kinds of problems, many of which we're already starting to see at the border. But as that issue or that crisis makes its way further into this country, who knows how many people might be carrying COVID, for example. There are just lots of bad outcomes when you don't have strong borders and have policies in place that allow you to maintain stability and order and discipline in a place where there's a lot of chaos. I think it's the change in policies from the new administration. The Biden administration had a very different policy than the previous administration. They essentially revoked or rescinded the emergency declaration that had been put in place by the previous administration. President Biden did that on day one, and that sent a message to the world: the border's open, come on. And they had actually migrant retention places like Mexico and asylum seekers where they were actually holding them instead of having them come across the border and then having us having to take care of that issue until such time as their cases could be adjudicated. Now everybody's coming. I mean, it's essentially the word went out when President Biden rescinded that emergency declaration at the border. It's okay to come, and I think we're seeing the effects and the results of that in a very real way. Well, we want to make sure that the administration is following the law. Congress, under the Constitution, in Article 1, has the power of the purse. Congress appropriated money for the building of a border wall. The administration now has ceased that, has basically put a hold on border wall construction, meaning that they are trying to circumvent or ignore the clear will of the Congress when it comes to securing our borders.